Hello there, here we are again recording for Digital Sojourner. I trust you've had a good week and I hope that this is helpful to you. We're working through Titus and we're in chapter 2 and we're really looking at one clause out of verse 14 of chapter 2. Let me read it to you. Well, let me read the whole verse to you. It says, "Who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works." Now this is a lovely verse, and we thought last week about the fact that the Lord Jesus Christ gave himself for us, and that wonderful truth. So he purchased us. But this week I want to think about the fact that he has purified us. The verse says that he might purify unto himself a peculiar people. Now that's a strange expression really when you think about it. We use the word peculiar in modern usage to mean something odd, and you might think that Christians are odd, or if you're a Christian you might think you know a lot of odd Christians. That's not kind of the point here. It's the idea that they are uniquely his possession. They are a people for his own possession, and that is why the Lord Jesus died. And if you're not a Christian, you're watching this, he died so that you might be redeemed, that he might purchase the church, so that he might bless it. And the purchasing was to clear our guilt and to remove our debt and to bring us into an eternal relationship with the living God. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing that he has done for us. That's that I really find helpful in this respect, and it's written by Peter in 1 Peter chapter 1, and this is what he says here. Sorry, I correct myself, 1 Peter chapter 2. It talks about people, and it talks about the church, and it talks about them there as being a people that are a peculiar people, a people for his possession. Let me read it. He says, "You're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvellous light." So the idea here again is people that he has purchased. It's his possession. You see, when Paul spoke to the elders in the church in Ephesus, he met them in a place called Miletus, and he spoke to them there. And I was just looking up the reference here in Acts chapter 20, and it talks about the church which he purchased with his own blood. He obtained with his own blood. The Lord Jesus died so that we might know him and that we might belong to him. We're his purchased possession. We're unique. We're set apart from the world. When the Lord Jesus spoke to his disciples in John chapter 17, and in fact he prayed to his Father in John chapter 17, he says, "I'm not praying that you'll take them out of the world, but they'll go keep them in the world." They were unique. They belong to him. The Lord Jesus in John chapter 10, he spoke about people that would come, and they would come into his fold, and he says they would be his flock, and he says, "I know my sheep and I call them by name." They belong to him. But this verse is teaching they belong to him because he wants to purify his people. He wants people who have been made clean. He wants people who know his cleansing. They're people who are free from any type of mixture. They're not worldly, they're not mixed up with the world, they're not part world, part belong to Christ. They're uniquely his, free of mixture. They're a purified people. This is the idea that they're separate from the world. The Christian is someone who's set apart to God. It's someone who's holy, someone who has been blessed through the work of the Lord Jesus Christ, and they belong to the church. They are a group, a new nation, a new people. They're described as a peculiar people, as in a nation. They have an identity, the church, which he purchased with his own blood. Isn't that a wonderful thing to reflect on what Christ has done? To reflect on the fact that he's called us out of the world. He's separated us from the world. He's cleared us and made us uniquely holy and special for himself. He's called us so that we might enjoy him, he might enjoy us. And one day we'll enter into the full blessing of all that means in a future day. I trust that this little clause from Titus 2:14 might be a real blessing to you today. Thank you for listening.